And we're live.
Hey guys, did you know the LA Clippers are going to win the championship this year?
I mean, they might. They're still in play.
No. Norman Powell had the nerve to say that team that he's on currently is deeper than the championship Toronto Raptors. GTFO.
Yeah.
Come on.
If you turn the clock back to 2016, he's perfectly right. But
yeah, but in 2019 they won it. Good thing John and Gary Trent's here. I'm pretty happy with that for his shade being thrown. But anyway, good afternoon, good morning, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, wherever you are, whatever time it is for you right now. Just know that you are locked in until the point with
Skip
and the King. You guys know what to do. Find us on Amazon, Apple, Spotify, when you're working out, driving, whatever. Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube, which is hopefully where you're watching us right now. And if not, you're bootlegging, you owe us some money. So go click subscribe, click like. Thank you guys. We just passed our 4-year anniversary. And you know what? Thank you guys for enjoying our fantastic guests. Especially that man right there. The coach from the East Coast, Mr. Tim Roache. How you doing today, my friend?
I am doing well. Happy New Year to you guys. Haven't spoken with you in this kind of setting yet, so I wish you all the best in 2023, and definitely to the Point podcast.
Thank you very much. Skip, what up?
Oh, not much. Just enjoying the Raptors' little win streak right here because I haven't had a lot of them this year. But
okay, you guys know why I'm dressed like this? Because I feel like a professor today.
Oh boy.
And I want us to hand out some grades.
Oh,
Ooh.
Where's your apple? Oh.
I used to be a teacher, but I could eat.
Can't eat balls. That's not for the show.
All right. Enough of that.
Okay, but guys, let me preface this, and let's just say, okay, we are currently literally halfway through the season for your Toronto Raptors out there. Man, time flies, eh? But they have a losing record. They're below 500. They're currently 19-23, right? Not that bad. Still part of the play-in, and we've seen a lot from them. Like,
wait. Are they 10th now? Are they 10th? They're 11th, right?
They're 10th.
They're 10th? Okay.
As of this recording. So currently the Raptors aren't looking too good. I hope they get better because I did put money on them being 4th in the Eastern Conference this year. But based on what they've shown, I would like to start with you, Coach. Now that we're professors, and like you as a former teacher, and without a co-ed's influence, would you like to give the Raptors a grade right now on how they're currently performing?
All things considered this year, I'm going to give them a C+. They've had a lot of injuries this year, and that's the main reason why I kind of am nice and saying I'll give you a C+. It's tough to go out each night when you're missing 1 player, 2 player, 3 players. They've had a lot of injuries this year, but I'm not so much trying to make excuses. It is one of their realities, but also their play hasn't been to what we kind of saw last year, and the stats show it as we will get into it. So I'll give them a C+, despite all that they've been through this year.
Skip, do you have a grade for the Thank you, Coach. Skip, do you have a grade for the Raptors currently as they stand overall?
Well, I was going to say
that tough-ass Eastern Conference, man.
I was going to say, I hope it doesn't start with an A or a B. I'm going to go with C, just a straight C. So I think you have to consider a few things here, right? You have to consider expectations. They definitely underachieved expectations. You have to consider injuries. They definitely had some injury issues. You also have to consider strength of schedule, right? Because the Raptors have had a tough strength of schedule, like one of the tougher in the league.
Very.
They're going to have a much easier schedule in the second half. I mean, that's a lot of that is like
Skip. Don't they have the most back-to-backs in the league this year?
It's not just back-to-backs. It's teams above 500. But it's funny because all the bad teams have hard strengths of schedules, and all the good teams have easy strengths of schedules. I don't think there's a coincidence there. I think it's like you play who you play, and if you struggle against them, then you make those other teams better. Look, bottom line, the Raptors have been disappointing this year, but if you look at their bottom line numbers, their point differential, their offensive efficiency, their defensive efficiency, they're still right in the middle of the pack of the league. They're still kind of just a hair above average, which is not where we expect them to be at this point. So I think a C is a little bit generous, but it is conceivable that they could sort of sort things out with a little bit more health on their side, and just get together a little bit. So I'm not going to give them like a D or an F or something. I think a C is like right in line with you could do better. Disappointing, but you could do better, and that's where we're at.
Can I give my overall, guys?
Give it.
Okay, so the Raptors have 19 wins, but they're currently ranked 19th in the league, especially with the stacked Eastern Conference, a great Western Conference. Like look how they picked apart Portland the other night, right? They easily dismissed Charlotte the last 2 games. That was a no-brainer. I see a lot of potential, like, because I do see, like, in turnovers, they're ranked number 1. I see in what else are they? How high are they ranked? Field goal attempts, they're number 7, right? Offensive rebounding, they're number 4. Their free throws, number 3 in the league. That's their rank currently in the league. So I do see a lot of potential. But when I do my eye test and I look, I see a lot of the way the players are playing, and the players are just right now. I got to be honest, Coach. I hope you ride with me on this one, man, because the way I see it, the players are just playing to play right now. There is no real, and okay, so my answer, a C. I agree with you guys. But the way the players are playing right now, it seems like they can be a lot better. I was on the Reese report, shout out to Andrew Reese, and this came up, and I said, can you imagine if Greg Popovich was running this team? So I see some faults in the coaching. Now, Coach, what grade would you give the coaching staff, and why?
I've been thinking about this one. You try to process everything, stuff like that. I think with the coaching staff, I'm going to give them another C+. With the injuries, it's been difficult. I haven't been too impressed with some of the rotations this year. Some of the guys who were never even stepped on the floor. I would have had Koloko playing against Milwaukee a week ago, and he was playing very well up to that point. I haven't been as impressed with some of the double teams that they throw at superstars. I'm glad Embiid called them out a little bit. He didn't have the winning part, that was just tongue in cheek, but he said, they're more focused on double teaming superstars. And ever since he made that comment, I really haven't seen the amount of double teams thrown at superstars since. So I'm going to give the coaching staff a C+. Once again, that kind of goes back to the injuries a bit, but also
having to move around. Yeah,
I'm going to say too how the players, we've seen some of these comebacks, these fake comebacks in a sense. They're still buying in to the coaching staff. If they weren't, they would not be pressing or giving the effort that they are in the last 3 minutes of the game, cutting leads from like 16 to 4, stuff like that. So they're still buying in. Now it's just getting them to play more collectively together, like you had pointed out earlier, not so much ISO ball or individual ball. So I'll give the coaching staff a C+.
Skip, what would you think about the coaching staff? I know you have no coaching experience, but why
you gotta throw slander in there while you're asking me the question? All right, All right, all right.
And I've
all
been
right.
coaching since 1993, so
All right, you talk your game. I actually agree with some of Tim's points there, but I'm gonna give him a C minus. I'm not gonna be quite as soft on them. I don't think it's all on Nurse by any stretch of the imagination. I think there are some definite issues with this roster construction. Obviously, the lack of a center, the lack of shooting, but he just hasn't been able, and the injuries, I should say, as well. But he just hasn't really put them in the position to succeed that kind of would optimize what they're able to do, right? You look at what Dwayne Casey was able to do, sort of building a consistent bench. Obviously, he had better players on the bench, but just you see Nick Nurse running guys into the ground on a team that is still losing games anyway. And it's like, okay, if you're going to lose games, you might as well develop these guys on the bench. You might as well give them 10, 15 minutes to show their stuff. And if you lose, you lose. Meanwhile, Nurse is over here, like he's grinding Pascal, OG, like to a pulp, and it's still not resulting in wins. I think also you have to criticize Nurse for, I think you kind of alluded to it, Tim, but like just the lack of motion on offense, right? The lack of passing, playmaking, ability to create shots in the half court. I mean, some of that's on the players for sure. Some of that's on the talent on the roster, but all you have to do is tell guys to cut, and like something will open up. Tell guys to run. And that also comes back to rotations, right? Because like if guys are running out there 40 minutes a night, they're not going to have the energy to be cutting off ball. They're going to be burnt out. You get guys in there who are fresh. We've seen this in the past couple of games against Charlotte. I mean, it's Charlotte, so who knows if that means anything. But you get a guy like Wancho out there cutting, and it's like, okay, this is a new element to our offense that we haven't seen all season. So I think there's definitely a few different things that Nurse could have done to sort of alleviate this before it got to this point of being a sub 500 team. And the other thing is, I think to your other point about the double teams and whatnot, I think Nurse has taken a little bit too long to adjust to the fact that teams have adjusted to the Raptors, right? Because we saw the Raptors doing this last year where they would throw maximum chaos and it would work. And it was just like complete, like that they would win the turnover battle, they would win the offensive rebounding battle, they would win games this way. I think teams have adjusted to that a little bit, and it's kind of taken Nurse a little bit of time to sort of go, oh, I have to go back to the drawing board. I have to like maybe drop my rotations a little differently, maybe drop my plays a little bit differently. So I think it's taken a little bit of time on that front. So I don't think he's completely lost the team or anything like that. I just think things have taken a little bit too long to come together this season, and I think some of that's on the coaching staff. So I'm going to give him a C minus. Oh, Tim, you want to go?
Go ahead.
I forget to mention with my C plus, and this is recent, how they've implemented Gary Trent lately. He starts, and now he is basically starting the second quarter with the bench unit. I thought that was brilliant on their part. The bench has been much better the last few games ever since they put him more or less with that unit. So,
but that's to my point. It's not so much that specific lineup. It's the idea of having a consistent bench lineup every night versus just pulling rabbits out of a hat and hoping that one will show up on a given night.
Ken, you got something to say?
I got a lot to say on everything that you guys just mentioned. Okay, So, Coach, you said a C?
C plus.
C
and
plus?
I said C minus.
You said C minus? Okay. I'm giving it an F, and I'm going to say, but fuck that. Because the coaching staff needs to get their shit together. Okay? Yes, we did see bright spots because, Skip, you know I'm a complete proponent of when it comes down to the Raptors bench and how deep they could be. And on that F, F Norman Powell for what he has had to say. Okay? So I think
He's talking trash. It doesn't matter.
I don't care. I really don't care at this point. But if they were to utilize the bench like they did with Charlotte, like what was it, 40-18, we were all in that group chat. And shout out to Andrew Reese when he was like, Brian Hussein, you might like this, right? If you can use it, right, instead of like Skip, to your point of running, and we've talked about this so much, running the starters to the ground with minutes, they're not going to have legs for the maximum chaos, like you just said. And it comes down to it because the style of play now has become, we've seen the last 3 games on the 3-game winning streak, there's a lot of ball sharing. a lot of ball sharing, which is great. And like I tell everybody when I'm coaching, even when I'm watching the games with people, 3 touches, somebody gets the ball, it's going to go in. That's how to play. The ISO ball, they need to change up. And speaking of that, they need to change up on their playmaking. Right now, they're currently ranked 24th in the league with 23.1 assists a game. Okay, you're not gonna win because, like you just said, Skip, other teams are going to look at their style of play, figure it out, send Nurse back to the drawing board because it's not just on him, it's on the whole coaching staff. It's not just on him. I'm not placing blame on him, so y'all don't get at me for that because I do like Coach Nurse almost as much as I like Coach Roache. But when it comes down to their playmaking ability, what grade would you guys want to give to that, Coach?
I'm gonna give their playmaking a C. And
you're so generous. You're so generous.
No. This is why. They're missing shots, open shots. That has nothing to do with their playmaking. I actually think Pascal Siakam has done everything this year to set guys up. And we got, Trent was missing for a little bit. OG had to stretch there where he wasn't making as many. Scotty just kind of wasn't being aggressive to a point until recently. I actually think the playmaking has been okay. Could it be better in the half court? Yeah, it definitely could be. But I've seen Siakam and Scotty set a lot of guys up this year and a lot of misses. And I don't really blame that so much on the playmaking. That's just on the shooting. That's just more on the guys. I don't know if it's their hands aren't ready, feet aren't ready, not being ready to shoot. I'm not sure what it is, if it's mental. But I really don't blame that on the playmaking. That's why I'm giving it a C.
Skip.
I disagree.
Mark that test paper, bro.
I give their playmaking a D. I think the playmaking is a huge problem with the shooting. I disagree. I think it's mostly the playmaking isn't putting guys in positions to succeed shooting wise. I mean, clearly we've seen a few specific anecdotal examples of like Van Vliet missed an open shot with 30 seconds left or something. There's definitely been those plays, but I think overall the fact that the Raptors aren't playing this motion offense means that they're the passing, as much as they have a couple of willing passers on the team, I'm not even saying they don't, overall compared to the rest of the league, compared to the rest of the NBA, because like compared to you or me, yeah, they play make fine, but compared to the rest of the NBA, I don't think they're creating enough open shots. I don't think there's enough motion in the offense. I just think no cutting, no real screening. Like you see the basic pick and roll, but like then it's just like you go to the rim and you get contested. I have not seen what I need to see in terms of creating shots, and I don't know if that's a player issue. I don't know. Some of it's like not trusting your shooters, right? Because the shooters have not been good. But it's sort of a chicken and the egg scenario. Like, are we shooting badly because we're not making the plays, or are we not making the plays because we're shooting badly? So I think the shooting and the playmaking goes hand in hand, and I think they've both been atrocious this year. And I think that there's got to be something else in the bag if the Raptors want to be good at creating shots.
So, Roach, you said C. Skip, you said D.
Correct.
I agree with you, Skip. I say a D because, in the words of Bruce Lee, you have to flow like water. Water can move, but water can hit hard, right? There needs to be fluidity on the offense when it comes to it. There needs to be fluidity. You need the double back screens. You got to, including the pick and rolls, right? You got to have the guys aggressive. There has to be, if you're going to do this positionless 6'9" vision, right, there needs to be fluidity. Guys got to be plug and play, right? Instead of becoming stagnant, right, just standing there with the ball, what do I do? You know what I mean? And the other guys are standing there.
Exactly. I'm just going to weigh in on that. I'm going to say, if you got 5 guys in single coverage, all being guarded, and you kick a ball out, that's not playmaking. That's like, I'm guarded, so I'm going to pass it to the other guy who's also guarded. Like, playmaking is creating open opportunities, and I haven't seen enough of that this year. Yeah.
Exactly, Skip. You and I have played. You've seen how, like, I've played with some other guys. Like, okay, you're gonna double me. Okay, well, that guy's open. Give him the ball. Give him the ball. Right? They need to have more faith in each other, I think, and there needs to be a little bit more fluidity. Guys got to. You know what? These guys are all out for themselves at this point when it comes to all the endorsements and everything. But they need to.
Ooh, that's a little much, but
it's not. But they need to create for themselves on the court is what I'm saying. Like, put yourself in that position. You know what I mean? Like, if I'm gonna drop a post up on some guy, but I see you get open right underneath the rim, you're getting the ball. Here, take it. It's yours. You know? That's basically how it should be with these Raptors. They should trust each other, especially when you're considering the overall concept, the overall thing about the positionless 6'9". That's where I think it is, and I do give them a D. I might even give them an F at that point. I'm being generous with the D when it comes to playmaking, because when you look at assists, they're ranked 24th in the league, right? Yeah. And that also brings something else up, because even though they might not be able to be making playmaking on the offensive side, right? Because that ISO ball, let's face it, it sucks. I think we all can agree on that one. But what creates a lot of points for the Toronto Raptors is what they do on the defensive end. Now, can we speak about their defense and get a grade, Coach?
I'm going to give their defense a B-. They're number one in steals. OG Anunoby is a top 3 to 5 defensive player of the year. They are 9th in blocks. It's pretty good. They're tied for 15th in defensive rating, which puts them at the halfway through the league. Like they're in the middle. Their brand of defense, they almost have to play it. And I say that because it hides some of their offensive deficiencies. So it's a really chaotic defense where they double a lot, they trap a lot, they rotate a lot, and then they kind of have to rely on rely in the transition to score points, because their half court offense isn't there. Now in the last 3 games, it's been better. So I have to give their defense a B-. It's been okay. It's been pretty good this year.
Skip, what do you think about the Raptors defense overall from what you've seen this year? Because we've gotten into qualms with each other at the beginning of the year, and we might have butt heads at some points. But what do you think?
Sorry, just give me a sec here. I was looking at something else. So I think the defense, you have to split the defense into 2 things, right? You have to split the defense into field goal defense and that kind of crazy, chaotic turnover gambling defense that they play. Now those are part and parcel with each other, but they're really good at forcing turnovers. We know this already. They're not so good at contesting shots. So overall, I'm going to give them a B-, but I think that's very generous. I think that's really buoyed by the fact that they force so many turnovers. Obviously, they lead the league in steals and turnovers forced. And just that whole transition game, right? But the field goal defense has left a lot to be desired this year. They don't really protect the rim very well. They're middle of the pack. You think about the fact that they're middle of the pack in defensive rating, while also forcing the most turnovers and really limiting the amount of shots. So that's not a great combination. That means that
that's because the other team's hitting their shots.
That's exactly what I'm saying. So when the other team gets their shots off, they're hitting them. And let's see where we're at here.
That's why the Raps are dead last in defensive rebounds.
Well, that's not really why they're dead last.
Sorry.
They're 27th in field goal percentage against. So that means that teams are shooting field goals against them at a super high rate, right? They're 26th in 3-point percentage against. So other teams are, when they're getting their shots off, when they're not getting forced into turnovers, when they're not screwing up, they're getting open looks. They're getting good looks at the basket. They're converting those looks. And the Raptors are struggling. Now, the bottom line is the turnovers mean that they always win the field goal attempt battle. They force, I think they have 8 more field goals per game than their opponents. Let me just real quick check that. Yeah, about eight extra field goal attempts per game. But the bottom line is when the other team is getting their shots off, they're converting at such a high rate. So it's obviously you can't be great at both, but to be great at one and really terrible at the other is not ideal either. You kind of want to find a bit of a middle ground. So I think B- is fair, but it's hard to. They're just two flip sides of the same coin, if that makes sense.
I would go with B+, honestly, because I see the scrambling. Yeah, they might be gambling. If they weren't gambling so much and losing on the gambles, I'd give them an A. But I do see a lot of potential.
How can you give them a B+ when they get killed at the rim? They get killed from 3-point range. Like, sure, yeah. I mean,
yeah. Put Colico in, okay? That's my qualm. But now, speaking of having a big man on the team, what grade would you guys give the Raptors when it comes to rebounds this season? Because honestly, overall, they're ranked 22. On defense, they're ranked dead last. But on offense, they're ranked 4th in the league. Yeah. What grade would you give, Coach?
I'd probably give them. I'll be generous and say a C-, and that's because the defensive rebounding really stinks, and that's probably due to a lack of a big man on the floor. You're going up against Steven Adams and Zubac and a lot of these
Vucevic, Embiid, Giannis, all those guys. Yeah.
But on offense, they always crash the boards because they have to in order to hide some of their offensive deficiencies. Try to get those second chance opportunities, right? So I'll be generous and say C-.
Interesting, very interesting what you just said. Skip, what you think about the rebounding?
I'm going to tell you, I had a higher grade than Roach, and now that I heard you talk, I'm going to bring it down. I had it as a C. I'm going to go with C.
Pressure sucks,
I'm going to go with C-. I agree with you. The defensive rebounding is such a huge problem, and the offensive rebounding, as gaudy as those numbers are, like great. They offensive rebounded at a great rate. You know why they offensive rebounded at a great rate? Because they're the worst shooting team in the NBA. Like, there's a lot of freaking offensive rebounds out there. Not only are they the worst shooting team in the NBA, they also take the most shots in the NBA, or not the most, but very close to the most. So those two things combined mean there's a million offensive rebounds out there for them. Now, I will say this was their profile last year as well, but the problem is they're even worse at defensive rebounding this year. Like, they were worse in the league last year. They're even worse this year. And then you look at their offensive rebounding, it's like even that has fallen off a little bit from last year. Still very good, but not quite as elite as it was last year. And we were already threading a very incredibly tight needle last year when we were trying to play this game. If you're going to punt defensive rebounds, like, it's not like when you're playing Roto and you can just punt defensive rebounds and just be like, whatever, we'll make it up in other categories. Every time you miss out on a defensive rebound, that is an opportunity for the other team to score. Like, these have consequences. So I like the fact that they're 2 defensive rebounds behind what they were last year, and last year they were already worse in the league. It's just, you're compounding a problem that's already a huge problem, and it's not good. So yeah, the rebounding has been an issue. Obviously, they need a big man who can properly fight for these rebounds. Yeah, so I'm gonna go with Roach, and I'm gonna say C-. Yeah.
Okay. Last topic to cover, guys. We're short for time. So you just alluded to it. By the way, on the rebounding, I'll give him the same grade as you guys gave him, C-. You know. Yeah. Defense needs to step up, but then again, that comes down to what you just alluded to, Skip. Shooting. What grade are we going to give the Raptors for when it comes to shooting, either their offense or the other teams shooting against them? Because if you look at the numbers, right? If you look at it so far this year, the Raptors are
read them and weep.
8.5, a plus 8.5 against other teams so far this season, right? Not the best. They're still ranked 24th, right?
Sorry, plus 8.5 on what? I'm not following.
Points
I'm
per
shocked.
game.
Oh, wait, what?
Points per game. Yeah.
No, they're not plus.
No,
they're
sorry.
plus-
0.5. 0.5.
Yeah, I was
0.5.
gonna say.
112 to 111.5. So
Yeah.
they're not that far off when it comes to it in total, but they're shooting, they're ranking, oh man, where are they ranking in field goals? They're ranking 23rd. 3-pointers, they're ranking 26th. 2-pointers, they're ranking 13th. Free throws, they're ranking 3rd.
Those are attempts. Look at their percentages. Their percentages are 29th, and 30th. Or no, 29th, 29th, and 28th. So.
Yep. So, Coach, what grade would you give to the Raptors when it comes to their overall shooting? Because everything we've spoken about just led us to this point. Every part of it, all the way from coaching, defense, transition, rebounding, it's brought us to here. So what would you give them when it comes to overall shooting?
F.
Nice.
They've missed too many wide open shots, and why you guys comment on the playmaking. I don't know if if Nurse could have read Auerbach's playbook. They're missing shots. They're missing open shots. So part of it might be a bit to do with playmaking. I've watched too many games of them missing open shots. I've watched too many games of Siakam hitting guys wide open, and they miss them. You can't have that in the NBA. It's a make or miss league. If you can't shoot, you can't compete, or it's very difficult to compete. I'll leave it there.
So an F. Skip, you're up real quick. We only got 2.5 minutes left, so hurry up.
Roach, I applaud you for going all out and going for the F. I went with the D-. I'm giving them a passing grade, but really by the skin of their teeth. But it probably should be an F. It's ugly. It's fugly. We knew they were a bad shooting team going into the season, but it's been way worse than we ever could have expected. They can't hit shots. And it's a huge problem. And yeah, the D- or F, whatever you want to call it, it's bad.
I'm gonna agree with Coach. You went out. That was an F. I agree with it.
Now I feel bad about my D-. I should have gone with the F, but go on.
You guys don't need to hear what I have to say and how to justify it. Go look up the numbers yourself out there. So, Coach, thank you for coming on the show. We really appreciate it, man. We really appreciate you being part of the 4-year anniversary episode. That was very, very nice of you, and thank you for taking your time. You guys, go down there. We appreciate you. Click subscribe. Click like. Leave a comment. Have some fun. Talk all the shit you want to me. Okay? So that's it, guys. We're pretty much done. So on behalf of myself, the coach, Tim Roache, and my man, my brother from another mother, Simon Brodeur, at Dougie J's. Wait, hold on, Skip. I look good, right?
You look sexy.
Okay.
You look dapper, man.
Thank you. You guys go to WeDoLaundry.ca. Use the promo code to the point. Get 5% off. They come to your door. They pick up your clothing. They wash it. They dry it. They fold it. And they bring it right back to you. And it's impeccable. You can trust them. It's an amazing service. Skip and I have tried it. It's great. So you guys go, remember, to the point, the promo code. So on behalf of all of us, and thank you guys, on behalf of you guys, good afternoon, good morning, good evening, good night, and
Peace.